Okay, I want you to picture something for a second.
Yeah.
You're checking the box score after a game.
Right.
You haven't seen the final score yet, just the stats. And you see one team. I mean, they just absolutely bully the other team on paper. They've got almost 150 more yards of total offense. They're moving the chains, stacking up first downs, everything.
They're winning the yardage battle, the time of possession, all the indicators.
All of it. They're even winning on special teams returns. So if I just hand you that stat sheet, no score, who wins that game?
Oh, in 99 out of 100 cases, the dominant team wins. And they probably win by, double digits.
That's what logic tells you, right?
Yeah.
But then you glance up at the actual scoreboard, and it hits you like a freight train. The team that did everything right, they didn't just lose, they got handled.
A 15-point loss, it kind of breaks your brain. It's what we call a statistical paradox.
Statistical paradox. I like that.
The process looks great, but the result is a total disaster. It just defies how you think football should work.
And that is exactly what we're talking about today. We are doing a deep dive into the Season 84 Week 6 game between the Arizona Cardinals and the Los Angeles Rams.
And we're pulling this from a great breakdown by Red Sea Radio, the MOF Cardinals football podcast.
So our mission here isn't just to recap the game. We're going to unpack this paradox. How does a team look so good on paper but fail so badly on the scoreboard?
It's a real mystery we've got to solve.
So let's just rip the Band-Aid off right now for any Cardinals fans listening. Yeah. The final score was Rams 31, Cardinals 16.
15 points. In a game where, like you said, you basically own them statistically. It's the difference between being busy and being productive.
Let's get into those weird numbers, because this is where it really gets confusing. Total offense, Arizona puts up 454 yards.
And for context, that's a massive day. I mean, you hit 400 yards, you're having a great offensive day. 450, you should be scoring 30, maybe 40 points.
And the Rams. 304 yards.
That's a 150-yard difference. That's the entire length of the field and then some.
And, I think it's important to say, this wasn't just garbage time yardage at the end of the game.
No, not at all. They were leading in first downs. They were sustaining drives all game.
They even had better return yardage. So they're winning field position. They're moving the ball. How does that math lead to only 16 points? What's the one thing that kills all that momentum?
Well, there's always one stat that acts as the great equalizer. It matters more than anything else.
Turnovers?
Turnovers, the turnover differential. You can have all the yards you want, but if you give the ball away, you're just erasing your own work.
And Arizona? They were feeling generous in this game.
Extremely. 4 total turnovers. That's the number.
4. Wow. So that's 4 drives that just vanish. And you're not just losing a possession, you're giving the other team a short field to work with.
Exactly. It's that whole hidden yardage idea. If you turn it over at your own 40, the Rams don't need to drive 80 yards. They just need 40. So their yards required to score was way, way lower.
So you've got all this offensive production, but you're just leaking oil the whole time.
That's the perfect way to put it. Yards measure your potential. Points measure reality. And turnovers are the disconnect right between the two.
It's like working all day and then losing your wallet on the way home.
Painful, but true. The work was done. The reward is gone.
So I have to zoom in on the guy driving the bus here, the quarterback. Let's talk about Jack Weber.
This was such a fascinating performance to break down because it was a total roller coaster. I mean, a real Jekyll and Hyde game.
If you just look at the good side, the Jekyll side, it's pretty impressive. He threw for 279 yards.
Solid number. And he was completing 65% of his passes.
Which is respectable. It means he's finding open guys. He's being accurate for the most part.
Right. It wasn't just chucking and praying. He was going through his reads.
He even showed some mobility, scrambled for 31 yards, threw a touchdown. If you just gave me those numbers, I'd say he had a B-plus game?
At least. But then you have to look at the other side of the ledger, the Hyde side.
3 interceptions.
Oof. 3. That is so tough to overcome.
Almost impossible.
And you add in 2 sacks and a fumble on top of that. So you have a lack of ball security in and out of the pocket.
And his passer rating just plummets, down to 63.8.
Which brings us to a concept I think is really key here. Empty calories.
Okay, break that down for us, like junk food.
It's the exact same idea. You're consuming a lot of volume yards in this case, but you're not getting any nutrition, which is points. Weber was great at moving the ball between the 20-yard lines. He looked efficient, But when the field got shorter or the pressure was on, that's when the critical mistakes happen.
So those interceptions are like the sugar crash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can have a beautiful 80-yard drive and then throw a pick in the end zone. The stat sheet says 80 yards. The scoreboard says 0 points. That's an empty calorie drive, and he had too many of them.
It's so frustrating because you can see the talent. The ability is there.
Yeah.
But those 3 picks just cloud everything.
It really does, which is a shame because there were some serious bright spots on that offense.
And we should definitely get to those because it wasn't a total system failure.
No, it was specific errors. And the ground game, for instance, was working really, really well.
Trey Benson, right. But his volume was low. 85 yards is great, but on only 6 carries.
It's an absurd stat line. That's over 14 yards per carry. That's not just good. That's explosive. That's game-breaking stuff.
He had that one big 26-yard run. He got a touchdown. It feels like every time he touched it, something good happened. So why only 6 carries?
It probably comes down to the game script. You know, you fall behind after a turnover. You feel like you have to throw to catch up. You abandon what's working.
And Pacheco chipped in, too, so it wasn't just Benson. When they ran, they were successful.
They were winning in the trenches, which, again, makes the loss even more confusing. Usually, if you can run the ball like that, you control the clock and you win the game.
But you can't control the clock if you give the ball to the other team 3 times through the air.
Fair point. That negates everything.
So what about the receivers? I was surprised by how much the rookies were involved.
This is where that potential we talked about really shines. Hunter Thomas, a rookie, led the team. 7 catches, 79 yards.
That's a huge workload for a first-year guy. That shows a lot of trust.
It really does. 7 catches means you're the guy moving the chains on third down. You're not just a gadget player. You're a core part of the offense.
And then you've got the other rookie, Tommy Davis, who provided the fireworks.
Oh, yeah, the highlight of the night, that 57-yard catch and touchdown.
You have one rookie as the possession guy, the other is the deep threat.
And you still had Harrison and McBride getting theirs with over 50 yards each. The ball was being spread around. The scheme was working.
So if the running backs are explosive and the receivers are getting open, why is the machine broken?
It tells you it's not a personnel problem. They don't need new players. It's an execution and a polish problem. They have the engine of a Ferrari, but they're driving with the parking brake on because of the turnovers.
That's a great way to put it. The car's not slow. The driver just keeps hitting the curb. I want to look at the timeline of how this actually happened because it wasn't a disaster right from the start.
No, not at all. The first quarter was pretty standard.
Arizona put up 3 points. They were moving the ball. It looked like a normal competitive game.
Right. Everything's going according to plan.
Yep.
But then you hit the second quarter.
The black hole, as this source material called it.
Yep. That's where the game starts to slip. Arizona scores 0 points. The Rams put up a touchdown.
And that's the psychological turning point, right? To move the ball but get nothing for it. For a whole quarter, that's just draining.
And it leads to pressing. You feel like you have to score on the next drive, and that's when you force a throw you shouldn't.
They tried to rally in the second half, put up some points, but it just wasn't enough.
And the Rams didn't let up. They dropped 17 points in that fourth quarter alone to put it away.
That's the shut the door moment.
And it's a direct result of those offensive mistakes. When you keep turning the ball over, your defense gets exhausted. You keep sending them back out there with no rest. Eventually, the dam is going to break. That's what that 17-point fourth quarter was.
And we should give the defense some credit because a 31-16 score, it looks like they got run over. But they were actually making plays.
They were flying around. Jalen Thompson had 8 tackles. He was everywhere.
And Joey Bosa was living in the backfield.
A huge force. 3 tackles for loss. I mean, a TFL puts the other offense behind the sticks. It's a drive killer. When you have a guy doing that, you should be winning.
And here's the most tragic part, the defense. They were creating turnovers themselves.
Yes. Jack Jones, Edmonds, they each forced a fumble.
So the defense is doing its job. They're getting the ball back, creating those extra possessions we talked about.
And this is where the frustration just compounds. Imagine you're on that defense. You make a huge play, force a fumble, give your offense great field position.
And 3 plays later, they just get it right back.
That's got to be so demoralizing. It kills morale. That disconnect between the defense creating opportunities and the offense just squandering them, that's the whole story of the game.
And the source mentioned red zone inefficiency specifically.
Right. It's one thing to get to the 20-yard line. It's another to punch it in for a touchdown. The field shrinks. The windows get tighter. Your execution has to be perfect. And Arizona's just wasn't.
So to sum it all up, They create yards. They have explosive young talent. Their defense forces turnovers, but they lose by 15.
Because they can't hold on to the ball and they can't finish drives. It's a massive, massive missed opportunity.
So looking forward, what's the takeaway from Red Sea Radio? Is it time to panic?
It doesn't seem like panic, more like high-level frustration, but not hopelessness. They see the pieces are there, the yardage, the momentum. It was all there for the taking.
But close doesn't get you a win. And their schedule isn't getting any easier.
No, it is not. Next up is the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, boy. So that's not what you'd call a get-right game.
Not at all. That's a heavyweight. San Francisco is one of those teams that just does not beat themselves. If the Cardinals go into that game and have 4 turnovers, they won't lose by 15.
They'll lose by 40.
They could. So the key to victory is, well, it's painfully obvious.
All security.
Clean it up. You cannot give that team 4 extra chances. And you have to get Jack Weber back into a rhythm where he's making good decisions.
He needs to find that balance, keep the good stats, lose the bad ones.
It's easier said than done, but yeah. He needs to learn that sometimes throwing the ball away is the best play you can make. It's about maturing as a quarterback.
You know, as we wrap this up, I keep thinking about those rookies, Hunter Thomas and Tommy Davis. So much promise, it's exciting, but it feels, I don't know, a little hollow after a loss like this.
And that brings me to the final thought I'd like to leave the listener with. We always talk about potential as this great positive thing.
Of course. It sells hope. It keeps you tuning in next week.
But here's the question. Is it better to be a bad team with no yards where you just know you aren't good enough? Or is it more painful to be a good team that constantly shoots itself in the foot?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think the second one is way more painful to watch.
Yeah.
It's the hope that kills you.
It is. And at what point does promising young talent stop being a good enough excuse for losing? At some point, that potential has to become production. You can't win championships with almost.
The Cardinals have the pieces, but until they stop being their own worst enemy, that potential is just a word.
Precisely. And making that leap from talented to disciplined, that's the hardest step for any team to make.
That is definitely something to chew on. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into a true statistical paradox.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping us unpack it all.
My pleasure. It's always fascinating when the math doesn't match the final score.
And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll catch you on the next deep dive. Stay curious.